Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast.
Hey, let's get it going out there. Welcome on in here to the Sports Buffoons. My name is Tanner Dawson, of course. Joined with me is JG. We are once again missing Mr. Mike. He is out in no man's land, essentially, slaving away.
Yeah, we can't even talk about that. He probably works for the CIA, but we're not allowed to talk about what exactly he does on a daily basis.
It's true. It's very confidential. We can't even discuss it. Like, we're not even supposed to do this at point right now. So it's just his profession at hand. But
he's not sick. He does not
he
have
is not
COVID.
sick.
Well, that's the most important thing. He does not have COVID.
It's not sick.
I want you people to feel safe out there.
I don't know about his recovery. He went to Denver this past week so I don't know if that has to do anything with it. But, we're going to say it's profession right now. So, but guys, welcome on in here. We got a great show lined up here, JG and I. We're going to be talking some March Madness. We're going to be talking some Royals, some new faces. Who are we highlighting? Who are we looking forward to as we have opening day tomorrow? Very excited for opening day tomorrow. And we'll have some NBA topics to come along with it. So, of course, Mike's not here, so we can talk NBA and with the general discussion without Mike poking at us. So, but yeah, there's tons of stuff going on still, despite no NFL games. Ton of NFL news as well. But we'll save that here in a couple of weeks when we do get NFL Mike back and get it going. So, JG, man, we got to start here. Let's start. Let's just start right off the bat. Tomorrow, the NCAA March Madness bracket resumes for games. Now, there's been lots of discussion around this bracket that there are no quote-unquote what am I thinking? What's the word I'm thinking of here?
No Cinderella teams.
Cinderella teams. Thank you.
Everybody's pissed that we don't have a Cinderella team.
No, everybody's mad. There's no Cinderella team. There's no 12, 11. There is a 10 seed out there, but nothing past that 10 seed, and it's an SEC school at the 10 seed, so people are upset there. Honestly, to me though, guys, I think they got it right. I think this is how NCAA March Madness should be, and there's plenty of great games going around. People are upset that we got the first buzzer beater on, I believe it was Saturday, with the Maryland game, Maryland and Colorado State. That was our first buzzer beater of the entire weekend, in 4 days. So people are upset there because there's plenty of great games going on. There's plenty of great basketball. But Jason, what's your thoughts, man, around this quote-unquote no Cinderella story? Is there really true no Cinderella left in this Sweet 16?
I think if you go back over the last decade, we haven't really seen as many Cinderella teams as you think we have. If you look at the statistics, I think that we all like to hope for Cinderella teams and we all cheer for them. And I totally agree with that. I want to see as many Cinderella teams as possible. But it doesn't happen as often as you think, and this is one of those years where you're not going to have one. And Tanner, you mentioned there's a 10 seed still out there in Arkansas. I'm not even going to qualify them as a Cinderella team. I know that they beat KU, which was
KU beat themselves.
I'm not actually going to call that an accomplishment, but they did beat KU. But you have no shot at a Cinderella team this year, and it's just one of those things where I think with NIL and all of the new things that we're starting to see now in college basketball, you might not see as many Cinderella teams as you used to see, but at the same time, it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen at the same rate that you want it to happen. So you might have a George Mason like we saw back in the day. You know, that might happen
Loyola,
once every
Chicago.
It might happen. It might happen once every 3 years, but people think these things happen all the time, but statistically they really don't. But I think in terms of this year, I mean, the team that I really wanted was Gonzaga to make an upset against Houston, and it didn't happen. And I think once we saw that, I think that we figured out that this is not going to be a Cinderella year for any of these teams, and so it is what it is, man.
It's the second straight tournament year where there is nobody in the Sweet 16 outside of the Power 5. Second straight year. And this is the NIL effect. This is exactly what the NIL is going to bring. The top schools, the Power 5 schools, are going to have the talent, and they're going to have the team to do it. Like, you're just not getting it. Like, McNeese was a cool story in the first round, going out beating Clemson. Clemson, by the way, very high on my list. That was a huge win. Purdue, they ended up not able to take care of Purdue. I think your biggest Cinderella story, if you want to call it, could be right now it's BYU. BYU, who's not expected. They went out and beat Wisconsin, and unfortunately, Wisconsin had a weird call on it. But now you got to go against Bama there. That's your biggest, honestly, the true biggest Cinderella possibly right now.
Yeah. It's all the higher seeds, and I think I think it's kind of boring for everybody right now.
Now, we look at here, like you talked about how much people love seeing the Cinderella teams past years and everything like that. It's fun, but do we really want to see a Cinderella team, a Loyola Chicago, going against this year's Duke team or a Florida team or Auburn team or Bama team? Do we really want to watch that kind of basketball? Do we want to watch basketball where they're going to get blown out, or do we want to watch basketball where we're going to have the close games? We're going to have games actually be close for 90% of it, or do we really want to watch a Norfolk State or a Grand Canyon or Drake or somebody else like that get walloped in the Elite Eight?
I think I can answer for the majority of people out there, which is that we do want to see that. You always want to see the Cinderella teams make it to at least the Sweet 16. The Elite Eight, Sweet 16, I think you always want to see those Cinderella teams. Once you get past the Elite Eight, if a Cinderella team loses and they don't make it to the Final Four, I think people are satisfied with what they saw. But this year is just, it's a little bit more boring than most years, and I think that most people do want to see those Cinderella teams at least make it to the Sweet 16.
See, here's what separates this tournament particularly. Here's what separates the men's and women's NCAA tournament. In the women's side, they have scores 110 to 30. They're being beat by 80. They're being beat by 60 points in the women's side in the first round. On the men's side of things, the competitiveness is still so close against these teams. UC San Diego, their first appearance, their first eligible time, and they made it as a 12 seed to play Michigan. They took Michigan to the end in the first round. The first and second round is where the Cinderella teams prosper. This is where the real teams start coming together. This is exactly how I want my March Madness tournament. I don't want no Yale in there. I don't want no Lipscomb. I don't want no Montana, Liberty. I don't want none of those teams in there. If I want to see those teams, then we're gonna watch the first couple rounds. This point here, Sweet 16 and beyond, aka to the road, is where the best teams are at. This is a tournament for the best teams, not for entertainment value. Happens in the first couple rounds. This is where, hey, now we got actual teams in this thing.
So when you tell me that you don't want to see a team like Lipscomb, you're making my argument for me, which we've had probably last year or 2 years ago, which is that we should have never had more than 36 teams in the tournament to begin with.
Correct.
But why did you disagree with me before? I feel like I was preaching this stuff to you like 2 and 3 years ago.
No.
I was like, it's a joke that you would ever have more than 32 teams in the NCAA tournament.
If you want a true competitive tournament, that's where you keep it at. The men's side, though, can support the 64 and still have competition. And again, I said men's side has competition and also be able to create the exposure into different areas of the nation. Continue to do that.
And I've always liked the 64 because I grew up with the 64. But at the end of the day, I think that we could reduce that down because of the fact that you've never had less than an 8 seed win the championship. And we've talked about this before.
But they've been to the title game. We've had less than the 8 seed go to the title game.
That's fine, but they're never going to win. So why, if I could reduce this thing down to 48 teams,
you got to go through
totally
a whole side of a bracket, man, to get to that point.
Why do we have 68 teams right now? I feel like it's a waste of time.
That part is what blows my mind. It's like why do we keep climbing? We have 4 playing games. What's the point of a playing game? We shouldn't have a freaking playing game.
Yeah.
You either make the field or you don't.
Yeah, I want to go back to 32, but I would make a concession that we could go to 48. That's where I stand on this thing. It's just, I understand that all of these schools make money and everybody has fun making money. Like, who doesn't want to make money? That's fantastic. But as a fan, I don't care about the teams that have no shot that might win 1 to 2 games.
But yeah, those are the teams you said you want in the Sweet 16. Those are the teams you said you want to go deep in this tournament.
Yeah, like once every 4 years, just to make it interesting. But like what I want the old school stuff of 64 teams, and that's it. Like let's just
get rid of the playing games; they're worthless.
And this is a better conversation, obviously, to have in terms of college football than it is in basketball. But that's
because football's still really developing. At least college basketball has a set program here that is established, and it does work according to the ratings and viewership. It does work from a competitive standpoint, where college football is still trying to figure out its identity for these kind of style playoffs essentially come into play. So like that's still a whole, I mean, that's probably about 5 years down the road before we really have a true conversation around it. But basketball here, they could do this and that. Do they need to? Not necessarily from a men's side. Now, I did argue that yesterday on the Rec Room Sports Hub show last night. Did argue that the women's side should probably get chopped down to 32, because who wants to watch an 80, 90-point blowout on ESPN? Nobody does. 0 people want to.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball here, Tanner. What would you think if Arkansas runs the table and wins a championship, based on the discussion that we just had?
I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed, man.
I would hate it. I would hate it as a KU fan. Like I'd be pretty angry.
Fan. Why would I be mad about Arkansas?
Because they're a 10 seed.
Who cares?
And they beat KU.
Yes, KU lost. KU wasn't going to beat. They probably beat St. John's. But you got Texas Tech. You got to get through Florida still. You got to get through Ole Miss and Auburn. No, you're not. That's not an issue for me. I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to be impressed that an Arkansas team that finished bottom half of the SEC and couldn't win jack in their conference is now going to the title game. That would be impressive.
Were you the one that sent me that post the other day about Hunter Dickinson entering the transfer portal?
That was Starsky.
Was that legit? Like, is he really?
Yeah, he's not returning. No.
But he's going to be offered $7.50 an hour to drive for Uber, because that's what I heard.
That was a meme.
Okay.
So yes,
because that's at the end of the day, that's probably
that was some Jayhawks fans.
That's probably what he deserves.
Look, I don't want to talk about Hunter. I don't. I appreciate he did care, which in the end he did care, guys. He really did, but he was too much of a stained statue compared to other big men. So, but no, we got some great games coming in, guys. It's still some great games out there. Don't turn away from the NCAA March Madness, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, title game just because your team's out. We got some hell of a matchups coming still to play. Auburn, Michigan's gonna be a great one. Ole Miss, Michigan State, perfect. Florida, Maryland, one of the hottest teams in the nation. Texas Tech, who can put up a bunch of threes. Arkansas, that is now healthy. They got some healthy guys, great freshmen there in Boogie. Kentucky, Tennessee, we already know that's going to be wild. Houston, Purdue. I mean, I like Houston's chances there. BYU, Bama. Can BYU throw up 18 threes and get past Bama? Very possible. And then Duke, Arizona, but we're going to watch Duke win by 20 on that one. So
Where are you at on Houston right now? Do you think they're a shoo-in into the Final Four?
They're not
Or
a
do you think
shoo-in.
somebody's going to put up a fight.
I'm not worried about Purdue that they got to play in the Sweet 16. It's going to be that matchup that goes on between Kentucky and Tennessee.
Okay.
I honestly think whoever wins between those two teams goes to the Final Four over Houston.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I think defense can only get you so far, and it's going to be a low scoring game. But quite frankly, to me, I think Kentucky and Tennessee are probably the shoe in for the Final Four in that side.
I'd like to hear that because I never wanted to see Houston make it this far in the beginning.
Well, I don't want to see Kentucky make it that far, but it is what it is at this point, and I'd be happy for Houston. I would love Houston to get there, but I don't think it's going to happen. So it'd be cool to get a couple Big 12 teams or at least one in there. Again, don't think it's going to happen, guys. Too many good SEC schools. It is if you guys have never heard me say, it's SEC dominant, and then there's Duke. That's what I think your competition level is for the championship and Final Four. So, in the end,
how much credit are we going to give to the one and only John Calipari if Arkansas makes it to the Final Four?
What do you want me to do? It's just great coaching. Sticking with your team, getting the buy-in after the season you had, and now you're in the Final Four, and you had to go through freaking Florida, which should be actually the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, or Maryland, who's the hottest team. You had to beat Texas Tech, who we can put up points. But if you get past Florida in the end, most likely Florida, I'm giving full credit. Like, what does he want? What does he want this year? Because you had a hurt team all year long. You couldn't do anything in the SEC. You climbed back to be the top part of the bottom tier of SEC play, make the tournament as a 10 seed, and you get to the Final Four. Oh, here's your flowers, man. Here's your flowers. And you know what? Here's a box of chocolates to go with it.
I think he has to win. I mean, he's obviously a great coach, but I think he's got to at least win this next game.
You know what?
Just to maintain.
It's very possible, too.
Just to maintain, his name and what he's been able to accomplish over the years.
Tech is very beatable. Arkansas could easily get past them. I would not be surprised. Actually,
I hope they do. I mean, I'm not rooting for the guy. I certainly don't want him to win a championship.
Right.
I want him to at least beat Texas Tech.
I mean, quite frankly to me, I'm putting in a bet down on Arkansas over Tech.
You would?
Yep.
How much? Did you put 500 on it, or what did you put on that?
Nah, I put 500 on it. I'll probably stick with my unit size of $10.
Your unit size of $10.
But like right now, if I look at it here, get logged in. Arkansas is plus 195 against Texas Tech right now. Only a 5.5 point spread for Tech.
5.5 point spread.
Yeah.
Oof.
So there's some friendly numbers. I might have to look at this later tonight, guys.
I love Arkansas in that matchup, dude.
I do too. But hey,
I love it.
Bracket play. By the time we meet up here in a couple weeks, we'll be talking championship for these guys, and I guess Final Four technically, right? So March 31st. So
yeah,
no,
we'll do a show. We're gonna have a show.
Championship
on
will be
Final Four.
done. Yeah. So, but it's an interesting way of the tournament. Like I said, second year straight that we've had no Power 5 outside of the Power 5 in the Sweet 16. But I think this is the new style of basketball that you're going to see in the NCAA men's, and that's with the NIL deal until they get it evened out, which I heard a possible deal might be done here in June or July, where everybody kind of gets a set amount of NIL money and makes the playing field a little bit more even. But until then, it's full go. And why not? Why free range? It's been so long since we've had that, ever had that. So let them go. Let them go. So it's all I got there for the NCAA March Madness. It's a great time of year. It's a great time of year. You know what else is a great time of year, Jason?
Baseball.
It's baseball season.
Baseball time.
We got baseball opening up tomorrow. Most of the opening days are happening tomorrow. Very excited there. The Royals take on Cleveland in a sold-out Kauffman. We talk about Kauffman. Before we get into the actual team of the Royals, we talk about Kauffman. The last couple of days, there's been some news floating around. We've had a radio host here spread some false news, some fake news about the old Sprint campus here being possibly a favorite for the Royal Stadium. The host company came out that day and said, this guy is a freaking liar. And once again, don't believe the guy because you never can. So it ended up being false news there. But I did miss this out, and Jason's the one that actually told me about this here, that Kansas City, Missouri Mayor Quentin Lucas came out on Tuesday as well, and he said the city has offered more than $1 billion, $1 billion to the Royals to help the team build a brand new downtown stadium or renovate Kauffman Stadium. And so his quote here was, "We do have, I think, a very robust offer that's combined state and local incentives. It's my view that gets you to the 1.2 to 1.4 billion range with no tax increase. No tax increase. It doesn't calculate or include the current Jackson County sales tax." Jason, what are we thinking here? Do you think that's a pretty solid offer to keep the Royals in Missouri?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy that they came out with the offer because me personally, I always wanted the Chiefs to go to the Kansas side. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it might. But if I was going to have a perfect world, imagining a perfect world, I would have the Chiefs go to the Legends and I would have the Royals go downtown. I mean, if I just didn't have to think about it, that would be my dream scenario. But $1 billion is a lot of money. Okay,
it's a lot of money.
Especially if, the taxpayers don't have to pay anything and you can get a downtown stadium involved there. I think I like the idea of that. My biggest issue with the whole thing is we've been talking about a downtown stadium for a long time now. And in my entire 48 years of life on this earth, downtown Kansas City is an absolute shithole. Okay? And my contention would be is, I like the fact that the mayor would love to put out $1 billion to do this sort of thing, to put the downtown stadium that everybody wants, to put the Royals downtown. That's fantastic. But if you're going to do that, I want to see them do it the right way. And in my entire 48 years of living, ever since the day I was born, downtown Kansas City has been an absolute shithole. And everybody knows it. We like to hide it until our friends from the West Coast or the East Coast come to town and be like, wow, this place. And I've literally had this happen before in my life. It's just like, yeah, I flew into Kansas City one time in my life, and it looks like balls. I literally had somebody tell me those exact words to me. I was like, you know what? I agree with you. It does look like balls. And this was like 20 years ago, dude. I'm just like, if you're going to build a downtown stadium, do it the correct way. So if you're going to spend $1 billion and you don't have to spend taxpayer money to do it, fantastic. Let's come out with another $1 billion to tear down all of these freaking eyesores that have been making my eyes sore for 48 freaking years, because nobody wants to see a downtown stadium.
Oh, there's tons of people that love seeing
and
them.
everything around
those
you.
Buildings.
Everything around you is just a complete hellhole.
Nobody
want
to
to
save
see
those
it.
buildings because they're good for small businesses, apparently.
Bulldoze it to the ground. If they can bulldoze all of those eyesores to the ground, then I'm all for it, man. I will give Quentin Lucas, the mayor, all the credit in the world if he can just do it correctly. But, yeah, I mean, that's apparently, if he can do that without taking taxpayer money, I mean, he'll be the greatest hero of my lifetime.
That'd be wild, man. That'd be wild. They're talking about a possible location being down there. I believe, where was it here? somewhere near Washington Street or something like that. Washington Square Park near Pershing, Maine. So, I mean, that's the possibility. But no, the Mayor Lucas did come out and said he is not in touch with the Royals owners. He has not talked to them. It's just his offer to them right now, and he's waiting to hopefully get in discussions with them so they can chat about what's about. He's trying to keep this thing in Missouri, which, quite frankly, it's probably a very smart move on his part. Very smart move. And you don't want this thing to go to Kansas because there's also that other team on the other side of Kauffman, Arrowhead, will be looking for a stadium very, very soon, I believe, as well. And they want to go to Kansas at the moment. So, but hey, there's still a lot of news to come out on this. We should have something more new by midsummer, I believe, is what Sherman said. So that'll be we'll just have to wait and see there to see what kind of news drops there. But very interesting story around this renovation. I mean, $1 billion, no taxpayers having to cover. That's massive. That's massive. So, but hey, let's talk about the Royals. Let's talk about the Royals here. We got, like I said, we got Cleveland coming up tomorrow. I'm very excited for it. It's going to be an actual warm weather game. It'll be a little warm, a little windy, but nothing cold, nothing major, no weather, true weather. So it's perfect baseball weather. Perfect opening day. Sold out stadium, already in line. But there's some new faces on this team, Jason. There's some new faces that we got to maybe just chat about for a minute and see what kind of impact that they might bring to this team that will help them improve on top of their year last year. Give me the first name here on your list here?
Obviously the number one name I'm interested right now is Jonathan India.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old, lifetime 253 average, which when I look at that, it matches up with all the other guys we have on our team, because you've got Vinny, who is 27 years old, MJ is 26, you got Bobby Witt Jr. So if you bring in a guy like Jonathan India at second base, who's 28 years old, batting 253, I think there's still a little bit room for growth there. Like, I don't necessarily think that we've seen the peak of his career, in much the same way that I don't think we've seen the peak of Vinny Pasquantino's career.
Well, he's got to play first. You know?
Yeah, he's got to play first, but I think the age range matches up for me with Jonathan India, and so I'm glad they brought him in to play second base.
You know what? I think Jonathan India is a massive signing here for the Royals, or a massive get for the Royals. I mean, 4 years in Cincinnati. We all see what Cincinnati is. They've had a pretty average manager. They finally can him. They go out and get Terry Francona this year, and they should be a lot better, I think, this year alone. But India's a all-around great player. Last year, you know, he finished with 15 homers. But I love the fact that he played 151 games. This is a guy on the field, getting at bats. He plays really great defense as well. We really don't have too much of a problem with him. There was one stat here. Stolen bases is pretty average. His roobies are pretty average, but man, he gets on base. 132 hits last year, 111 the year before in just 119 games. This is a guy that we want in the leadoff spot. Other guys to follow to be able to hit him in. This is a guy that gets on base. Gets on base, guys. Listen to me. Gets on base. Puts yourself into a runner's stance or runner's position. Be able to get that run early and often. I love this. I love this move here. This is probably my favorite move. Spring training, he's looked really dang good. Within only 4 years in the majors and coming into the Royals with such a young team that we have already, it should be nothing but up there. Nothing but up. So I like him. Who's our next guy on the list, Jason?
Oh, you got Mark Canha.
Mark Canha. In this one. Hey, this is a little older guy, right? So
very old. Does not match up with the age group that I just stated before.
What was he? He's like, you said 36, I think, when you were looking up.
He's old.
Yeah, 36. This is a guy that's been around for a while. He's been around since 2015 in the majors. You know, he played with Oakland for 6 years. He had the Mets. He also played for Milwaukee at one point. He played with it last year. He played with Detroit. Ended up getting traded from Detroit at the trade deadline to go to San Francisco, and still produced really well. He's an offensive guy. This is not a defensive move by any means. This is a full-out offensive style guy. This guy consistently puts in 30 to into the 60s for Rubies all the time. His home runs aren't spectacular by any means, but again, this is another guy that gets on base. This is a guy that can execute in runners in scoring position. And quite frankly, it's a great veteran bat to have in the lineup for us. It really is. He also plays his games, right? It's another guy that doesn't get injured often. New York, Milwaukee, he had the 89 and 50 season. Outside of that, though, Detroit and San Francisco last year, he combined for a total of 125 games, which is right where we want him. Right where we want him. He don't have to play every game. I'm not saying that, but he needs to be able to get out there and go about it. So I love some Mark Canha. And he also, his attitude also that he brings to the team is going to be pretty spectacular. Something that we really need, more of a killer mindset coming into play. Very disciplined player as well. So very excited to have Mark Canha in here for the team. And the final one here, as Jason drinks this drink, I think the other big one here we got is pitcher Hunter Harvey, not Matt Harvey. Hunter Harvey. A little better pitcher here that has joined the Royals. He comes from Washington. He also, he came from Baltimore and also Washington. So he played for Washington the last 3 seasons. He played at Baltimore 19 through 21. Again, this is a guy that's able to get out on the field. He did come to the Royals late. I forgot about that. He did come to the Royals late last year, very late last year. But it's able to capitalize. Capitalize now with the 40s, 50s, and 60s innings pitch here with Washington. His strikeouts are really hot, right? As well. I mean, he's in the 50s and 60s for a guy that pitches those amount of innings. ERA isn't horrible. It's in the 3s, which right now is actually pretty good for ERAs, believe it or not, for this day of age. I don't see nothing really holding this back. He could be a guy that we use time to time out of the bullpen for the most part. I believe I forgot where they announced if he's a starter or a bullpen right now. Let me check it out. Sorry. I want to make sure I get it right. Depth chart, rotation. Yeah, he's coming out of the bullpen, right where I was hoping for. So, a former starter, he's going to come out of the bullpen. Big situation as well for him. A guy that has been around quite a few teams here and seen some things. So, this is a great move. This is a great move for the Royals to build that pitching depth.
So what's the ultimate goal here? Because I've heard a lot of people say, well, I just want to win 85 games. And I feel like that's a really good goal because if you're a Royals fan of 48 years like I am, they don't do 85 wins very often.
They don't.
But at the end of the day, I'm just like, would you rather see them win 85 games and have a shot at the playoffs, or would you rather them surpass that or shit the bed? And I'm just kind of like, I would rather see them win the division regardless of the record. And again, that's something the Royals it doesn't happen very often. I don't care about the division. I don't know how you feel about this, Tanner. If we can win 85 games and not win the division, I'm okay with that. But it's just like, I want to see a little bit of progress in terms of how the Royals are going to perform here. I want to see them get better gradually. And I think that if I had my choice here, I would like to see them just win 85 games and make the playoffs and just get gradually better over the next couple of years.
Last year we made the playoffs, right? Just barely, but we did sneak into the playoffs, won a series, and got to play the Yankees. This year, I think we got to win the division, and I think we need those wins before postseason happens. I think to be able to take a step in the right direction to get past maybe that next round of Yankees is to go out and win the division. That means you beat off another playoff team of Detroit Tigers. I think you got to start with your playoff part here within the division. I think you need to go out there and compete for a division title towards the end of the year, not a possible wild card spot. I think we need that division title. Get your win there, and then continue to use that momentum into the playoffs.
Do you think the team is built for that right now?
I do.
To win the division?
I do.
And is it because you think that, like a lot of other people, that think that Cleveland is going to take a monster step back, or do you just think that the Royals are that good?
I think the Royals are just that good. I think they're built for it. I think they went out and got a veteran presence of just before the start of the season here, towards the end of spring training, which is needed. You went out and got India. You need some other bat in the lineup. Hunter Harvey's going to support us very well, and you went out and got a couple more pitchers. I believe the pitching depth, plus what we have coming up in the minors, let's be real, is going to allow us to be there. I think Detroit, as great pitching as they have and some good offense, they're going to be vulnerable this year. They lost a couple guys. Cleveland doesn't have Terry Francona anymore. They're going to get some. They got some arms coming back from that they lost last year. But what does that mean? That means nothing. They also lost some key pieces too. The Twins are going to twin. All right, plain and simple. They're going to look good for 40 games, and then they're going to taper off. And if you're worried about the White Sox, go get help. Please, go get help. So I think the Royals are set up for a potential division win. And if anything, it should be in the mix here in the final 30 days. It should be probably White Sox, Royals going at it for a potential division title.
Yeah, I think for me, it's all about the big three: Vinny, MJ, and Witt Jr. And I was a big MJ fan when he first came up, and I think that MJ Melendez is the guy that is going to define this season. I really do. One guy is going to define the season because he could explode this year. I feel like he's a very volatile player.
He is.
Or he could just totally be off the squad and you'd be like, oh, yeah, what happened to that guy? And he's just so volatile, and I think that he's kind of the barometer, I think, for this team. And I have high hopes for MJ Melendez at age 26. But I think if he can pop this year, then we watch out. But if he doesn't pop, then we're gonna have some problems.
You're gonna be replacing that thing in come May with getting rid of MJ, and you replace that with India as your third guy. Just be aware. Just be ready. So hey, there's.
Do you think he's gonna pop, or do you think he's gonna take a step back?
MJ,
'Cause you can't. Here's the thing about MJ. You can't tape it. You can't take a step back with him. He's in the minor leagues.
Yes, correct.
If he that's.
Well, he's not in the minor leagues. He's getting wavered.
Yeah. So
he's gone.
Where are you at with him?
I think.
Do you think he's gonna pop?
With MJ, I don't think he's gonna pop. I think he's gonna stay consistent what he is year after year. And quite frankly, depending
220. You think his average is gonna be 220?
I think MJ Melendez is a guy that's off the team by trade deadline. And I think that's because of what you got in the minors to bring it up.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough to think about.
It is. I hope I'm wrong, right? I want to see MJ Melendez do good. He's been around for, quite a while for us and a guy that I like. But, yeah, remember, you still got Hunter Renfroe in that mix, too, for the outfield positions. Vinny for that DH spot. Like, you can't play everybody every game. And you don't perform early, you don't perform well. I mean, that kicks you out of an MJ possibly getting kicked out. So, or possibly in trade bait. We'll have to see in the end. But I don't know, man. Hey, there's a lot of positivity though happening for Kansas City, for the Royals. We don't normally get to talk this very often. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked for the season to start. Stoked to see what we got, and let's ride through the next 60 days and. Hey, let's see where we start. Try to get hopefully a hot start, and then we can really see where we're at when we come June. So, in the play. All right, Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch it over here. We're going to switch to the basketball time. It's basketball. We're talking NBA. Now, Jason, you wanted to kind of focus in on play-in? Is that right?
I want to focus on the play-in because the top 2 or 3 seeds in the East and West Conference are kind of boring right now. We kind of know how that's going to pan out. We know that OKC is dominating the West. We know that the Cavs and Celtics are dominating the East. So I want to talk about the play-in situation right now because we're getting kind of close to the end of the season. It's March 26th right now. So we've got just a couple of weeks left before we know who's going to be involved in that play-in. And I wanted to focus on the Western Conference right now because, let's be honest, guys, I'm going to cut to the chase. Nobody gives a shit about the Eastern Conference plan, right? Because it's kind of like we talked about in the NCAA tournament where we're talking about 13, 14, and 15 seeds. We don't care about that. Like, the only teams that have a chance right now in the East are the Celtics and the Cavs. And that's pretty much it. So we're not going to talk about the play-in. But in terms of the West play-in now, Tanner he could probably disagree with me on that because I know he has a hard-on for the Orlando Magic.
No,
we
it's not the Magic. I think Indiana has a potential chance to upset some people.
Indiana?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about play-in teams.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Orlando's in there. Like, Orlando has to be a top team to go in. But
so let's
I also don't like Atlanta, Miami, or Chicago. So that's why I'm thinking of Orlando.
Let's get serious about the West right now because I've got number 7 LAC, number 8 Minnesota, 9 Sacramento, 10 Phoenix.
It just switched. Golden State just went into the play-in now. LAC
Did they
out.
really?
Yeah, it just switched.
Ooh. Okay, so let's talk about the Warriors. Let's just talk about the Warriors first off because obviously we know that Steph, he's been banged up this year, but at the same time they got Jimmy Buckets and they're old as dirt, man. Like we all know. The whole world knows that they're not going to win a championship. But for the purposes of this discussion, which is the play-in tournament, what do you think about the Warriors right now, Tanner? Do you think that they're locked in to either that 7 or 8 seed, or do you think that there's a chance that they could drop out of the whole thing?
No. I think they're locked in that 7th or 8th seed. I think they come away with the play-in, Steph or no Steph. We've seen playoff Jimmy happen. There's no way playoff Jimmy doesn't happen this year either. So I think Golden State from themselves, they don't get kicked out. They are in to the playoffs.
Okay. So Steph Curry was actually questionable for the game, and he's got a pelvic injury. And so I think they're just trying to save him. He's actually day-to-day.
Yes.
Steph Curry, and so there's no way that they're not going to be involved in the playoff tournament. So I'm going to put Jimmy Buckets into the mix. They're going to get that 7 or the 8 seed. And
they've come a long way since the Jimmy trade too. Remember, they were out of the play-in at the other side of things.
So there's a lot of people out there that would tell you that the Clippers have no shot, that these guys are just way too old. And you guys know that historically the JG cannot stand older teams. I can't stand teams that have guys like James Harden. I used to call him a different name. We're not going to talk about that right now. And guys like Kawhi Leonard who are just older than dirt. And I've talked to people that say the Clippers are out. They have no shot. They're not going to be the 7 or the 8 seed after the play-in tournament. I tend to disagree with that. And my case for that is as follows. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, everybody in the world knows that their careers are over after this year. We know it's over. So I just want you guys, just for a moment, just to put yourselves in their shoes, which I wish I could do that. I wanted to be an NBA player my whole life, dating back to my teenage years. It never happened. But regardless of that, if you could put yourself in those guys' shoes, they're on the exit ramp. Kawhi Leonard has been, since the Spurs, really, they've been load managing him. Well, he was pissed off at Popovich for not
upset.
load managing him, and so therefore Popovich started load managing players. But Kawhi Leonard's been load managing for I don't know how many years, and James Harden is old as dirt. So you've been load managing Kawhi Leonard this whole season. Meanwhile, James Harden is averaging 22, 6, and 9 this year. So James Harden's playing on a superstar level. Why? Because he knows that he's going to be old as dirt after this year. His career's over. So my contention here is that the Clippers are going to, if they don't win the play-in tournament, they're at least going to be the 8th seed. And a lot of people will disagree with me on this because they think the Clippers are trash because the Clippers have always been trashed. And, oh, by the way, they got rid of Paul George. I think it's going to happen. They're not going to accomplish anything because whoever comes out of that play-in tournament is going to get throttled by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But just for the purposes of this discussion, do you give the Clippers a fighting chance in the play-in, Tanner, or do you think that they're going to just totally crap the bed here?
I think they're one of the teams that stays out of the play-in. I think
they're out.
Not out. I think they're in the playoffs, but they don't have to play in the play-in. I give them a chance, though.
I'm talking about 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
I want to know who that 7 and 8 is going to be.
It's
going to
be
just pick from those 5 teams.
You're 7 and 8.
Because we're throwing in Golden State.
Yeah.
So 5 teams.
Your 7 and 8 is going to be Clippers, Golden State, somewhere in that range. Maybe mix them up, whatever. I think those are your 7 and 8.
Well, no. So Golden State was the 6th seed. So we're going to go Golden State. And the Clippers. You're going to pick one more team out of the mix of Minnesota, Sacramento, Phoenix, Dallas.
I was just about to say Dallas.
You can throw Dallas in there, but if you're going to tell me that we've got the Clippers and Golden State, who are you going to throw in there as the 8th seed? Do you want Minnesota, Sacramento, Phoenix, or Dallas?
It's going to be Minnesota. Just because of injuries happening. I mean, Dallas, they got AD back, but that's kind of irrelevant at this point for the 8th seed. Minnesota, yeah, Ant-Man. Ant-Man ain't going to allow you to get a little further or kicked out there. I think Minnesota has a little bit better team amongst the group here, and Sacramento's missing Sabonis for a while. So it's Minnesota's ball game to lose at this point.
So is Phoenix just a dumpster fire at this point?
Phoenix, awful.
The reason why I ask you that is because, Booker's having a really good year.
Great year.
And Kevin Durant, as old as he is,
still having a great year.
Having an amazing year. And the coach of Phoenix did the correct thing, and Brad Beal is coming off the bench since early January.
Yes.
So a lot of people would say, yes, I want to throw Phoenix into that 8 seed mix.
No.
Why would you put Minnesota ahead of Phoenix? Because for me, I don't have a preference here. I think it's a coin toss because I think Kevin Durant, kind of like we talked about earlier with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, I think Kevin Durant's another guy. He knows his career is basically over after this year. He's going to leave everything on the table, whereas a guy like Ant-Man, his team, Ant-Man is a superstar, top 5 player in the league, but his team is kind of up and down a little bit. I think that supporting cast is a little up and down.
It's a tale as old as time, man, for Phoenix. Tale as old as time. You can have 2 guys going at it all day long. You can have a guy coming off the bench. But when you only have a three-man roster on an NBA squad,
you don't have a 3-man. It's just 2 guys.
It really is 2 guys. It really is a 2-man roster at this point versus Minnesota, who has experience with Conley there. They have experience. I mean, they got Gobert there. They got Ant-Man. They got some vets there that know how to handle business when it needs to handle. Granted, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win the title with these vets, but you can get an 8 seed. And also, we're 5 days away from April 1st. Okay? That schedule ain't, I don't think, long enough right now. I don't think there's enough games for Phoenix to figure life out by then either. I think they are what they are, and that's a team that's going to score 125 to 130 points a game, but they're going to give up 140. And if you allow Minnesota in this mix here to go out and have to score points, they're going to score it all over you, and they will outscore you.
Yeah, for me, Phoenix, there's just too many egos there, and I think
It's not egos. It's just the
well,
management.
What do you mean? There's no egos. You have the coach Mike Budenholzer.
He's not the one putting together the team. He's coaching the team.
But he's a championship coach. You don't add his ego into the mix.
I want his ego there.
So you've got Mike Budenholzer, who's a championship coach.
Yes.
You got Brad Beal with his ego. You got KD and Devin Booker. There's egos all over the freaking place.
I'm not saying there's not egos. I'm saying it's not an ego problem. It's not an ego problem.
Oh, I think it is.
It is a management putting together a freaking roster. It's a James Jones problem.
Oh, gosh.
Good sir. James Jones problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of people out there that think that Phoenix is going to win this whole thing in terms of the play-in tournament. And my argument against that would be, if you could have, you would have. You would not be the 10 seed right now.
You would not be.
You would not be the
10
seed right now.
Dallas possibly overtaking you.
And a lot of people out there are saying, "Oh, you're just oversimplifying it." Well, I kind of am, because they're a wreck. They're an absolute wreck. There's nothing coming off the bench.
Nothing.
And the only thing you have coming off the bench is Brad Beal, who does, at this point, he claims he has a no trade clause. So on paper, he wants to be there, but he doesn't want to be playing on that freaking team. No. And that whole organization is a disaster. And so if you're asking me right now, I do have the Clippers in Minnesota. Sacramento, I don't know what your thoughts on Sacramento are, Tanner. I just think that, once you bring in a guy like Zach LaVine, it's just kind of like a wash, and you've still got to find some chemistry there. There's not going to be a situation where Sacramento just all of a sudden just catches on fire and makes a run in the playoffs. I think they're totally out of it.
They had a chance, and then Sabonis got hurt, and you take the biggest star player in your team and kick him out. Zach LaVine can only do so much for your team.
Do you give the Mavs a fighting chance based on the fact that AD is actually coming back from injury?
I do give him a fighting chance getting in there. I mean, you're talking about a 35-38 team looking on the outside in, but Sacramento and Phoenix just playing the Boston today, by the way. And they're both 35-37 themselves. Yeah, I do anticipate giving Dallas a chance as long as AD is playing. If AD doesn't play, if he's obviously playing, but if he gets injured here in the next couple weeks, you can just kiss that hope goodbye. But if AD's in the lineup, I give him all the chance in the world to get in there.
I want to see AD play, and I want to see the Mavericks get into that play-in, because I feel like at this point, Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis are two guys that actually care.
Yeah,
about
unfortunately,
the situation.
Kyrie's out.
Okay.
Because the ACL.
Oh, he's done.
Yeah, he ACL shortly after the Kyrie or the big trade.
Yeah, what a disaster, man! The bottom of the West is a freaking disaster.
So, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Dallas was literally on the verge of having to, forfeit games because they were so many guys on the freaking IL. It was so bad. So they got some guys back. I still think that's a roster, even without Kyrie, where AD can sneak him in. But, again, AD has to be playing.
Yeah, so I think, Tanner, you and I are both in agreement that ultimately it's going to be the Clippers and Minnesota that round out that bottom 8 into the playoffs. And I'm planning on going to the first round Oklahoma City Thunder game, or that series, and I was hoping for Minnesota, and because I want to go see Ant-Man play. I've never seen him live.
I think you got a good chance of that.
I sure as hell don't want to see James Larden You know, because
You want to
I've
see
seen him before.
Cowie, or not Cowie? Was it Leonard? Old back, old no legs.
Yeah.
No
No,
play?
I've seen. The funny thing is I did see James Larden play in my whole life, and it was back in like 2012 when he was, of course, sort of.
With Houston.
Nobody would ever call him the Big Three, but they would call him the Big 2.5 back in 2012.
Oh, okay. See,
when they actually made it to the finals.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've seen Larden play live, and I'm done with him. I think, we can have this conversation later, but there are guys like Larden and Steph Curry and Giannis. Can we just get all these guys out and LeBron James?
Giannis is still young, man.
No, he's not.
Isn't he? Isn't he like
Joel Embiid? Can we just get these guys out of the league? I want to see some youth. I want to see a youth movement in the NBA, and get
rid of the NIL for that.
Like, honestly, at this point, Steph needs to go, and we need to see some younger guys. Draymond Green, for God's sakes, dude, just go do your freaking podcasting thing. Like, I'm doing it. That's what I do.
Giannis is only 30, man.
I'm not saying that
he's only 30.
I'm not saying that like I'm a big deal right now, but for God's sake, I'm a podcaster. Draymond Green, for God's sakes, just go to your podcast.
It's time to go,
man. It's time to go.
I can't believe you want a 30-year-old out of the league already.
Giannis?
Yes, he's only 30. He started Milwaukee when he was 19.
But he doesn't play like a big. If you have a traditional big, they can play till their late 30s, like a guy like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Giannis didn't play like that, dude. He's banged up.
He is banged up.
He's going to go a lot earlier.
He needs one of his seasons.
Joel
where he sits
Embiid?
out.
Joel Embiid is the same age as Giannis, isn't he?
Yeah, but
he's done.
that's two different.
Those guys are
two different
done.
injuries on those guys.
Dame, oh gosh, I don't even want to talk about Dame.
Poor
Lillard.
Dame
Like that.
time, man. Poor Dame time.
Now he's an older player, like he's like 34, 35, but that made me sick to my stomach when I heard that Dame had a blood clot
issue.
Man, that's just awful. Because Dame Lillard to me was an ambassador to the NBA.
Yes.
Phenomenal player, and so that was difficult for me to see that happened to him. But
we do got a comment here, Mr. Bakken Show. What's up, dude? He says, "What's up, y'all? What y'all make of the LeBron on Pat McAfee show today?" I didn't get a chance to tune in. I was dealing with some bullshit all day long, so I have not tuned in yet. But I do plan on watching it here because I've heard there's some takes that came out. Even got a Stephen A. Smith response after the show. I saw that, so I gotta follow up here on the full story for it here.
And I feel like if you're a LeBron and you're on your way out, you should be going on shows like Pat McAfee.
I mean,
because you got to stay.
On Pat's show if you're cool.
Everybody in the world knows you're going to retire, and you need to stay relevant, and that's how you do that.
How many years have we said that?
Yeah. But seriously, like if you're going to stay relevant, how did Aaron Rodgers stay relevant after playing like ass the last 2 years? Like he was Aaron Rodgers was amazing, dude. Did he go back-to-back MVP in his late 30s?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was irrelevant. How did he stay relevant? He went on the Pat McAfee show, and that's what I think
really
LeBron
weren't
James
that
should
bad
do.
last year. So, like, we can give it.
You don't think it was that bad?
They weren't that bad.
Then they weren't, and that's true. But you played for the Jets.
But you
so
played for the damn Jets.
You could be a superstar and put up superstar numbers, but if you play for the Jets, you still need Pat McAfee to keep you relevant.
I mean,
in terms of being a superstar,
it's pretty cool that he'd only talk to Pat, though. I tell you what, that much. So, but hey, anything else on the NBA side?
Not really, man. I mean, everybody knows what's going to happen here. I mean, it's going to be Oklahoma City Thunder in the West, and I personally think that the Celtics are going to win the East because I think that the Cavaliers are still a little bit too young there, but I think it's pretty even. I think that could go either way. I want the Cavs to win, if you want to know the truth. I would love to see the Cavs come out of the East, but I don't think that that's how it's going to work out.
I don't know, man. There's some hungry teams out there in the East here. But
yeah, they're hungry, allegedly hungry, but if you look at the New York Knicks, I know a lot of people like to talk about the Knicks. There's no defense whatsoever on that team. And, the Bucks are freaking cooked.
They have Doc
So,
Rivers still. So.
Nobody, I mean, Indiana, I don't trust to do anything. They're not going to beat the Celtics or the Cavs. The Knicks, as I stated before, yeah, they're a superstar team. They got Karl Anthony Towns. Their defense is horrific, guys. So if you think that if you're a Knicks fan, you think they're going to make a run this year, I'm sorry, man. It's not going to happen. So that's why the Knicks are trash, is because they don't play defense. We already know why Milwaukee's trash, is because they're old and, Dame is not even going to play at this point. So it's unfortunately I want to see
it's more
competition.
coaching a Milwaukee side. Let's be real.
I want to see competition in the East, but it's not going to happen this year. It's all about Celtics and Cavs, and hopefully I hope that series goes 7 games. I really do.
I do too.
But ultimately, I think the Celtics are going to win that series.
I do too. I think, I think I'm kind of right there with you, though, from a competitive standpoint for contenders. So, but hey, we'll be keeping touch base on NBA. Of course, that's not going away. We're getting really close to playoff time, and it's definitely going to be top of mind here, especially as we keep going through April for our shows. You showed up, Jason, and you're like, man, I'm really hungry. And you threw down 3 bags of M&M peanuts. Like you were really hungry. So I want to know, man. I'm gonna give you 10 of the new stadium foods. Now that baseball season's here, starts tomorrow, right? New 10 stadium foods. I don't want your thoughts here. I want to know if you're gonna, drop some money and you would be willing to try that, or if this is just like, what the hell did you just say to me? Like, disgusting, whatever. So, and these are going to be
10 seems a little excessive, but go. I'm ready.
Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be good here.
I'm ready for this shit.
So, I did get this article from CBS Sports here. It's on for that, but you guys can check it out yourself and see the pictures. But we're going to start with number 10, Arizona Diamondbacks. They are breaking out the Filthy Mac Fries. So basically, it's a bunch of ingredients on Cajun fries, and there's white cheddar mac and cheese, pork belly, bacon, and crispy onions on a bunch of Cajun fries. Smash or pass on that one, man.
You're gonna give me the whole list, or you just want to go?
I want to know one by one. I want to know a smash or pass on that one.
Mac fries. I mean,
Filthy Mac Fries.
I don't eat a lot of pork. And so if I do like mac and cheese, I don't necessarily you need fries with that, because if I want mac and cheese, I've already got my carbohydrates. So you're talking to a fitness guy, okay? Historically, I like to watch my diet, my carb intake, and all that stuff. So if you're giving me mac and cheese, I don't need French fries with it. That's way too many freaking carbs. So, yeah, I'm out on the mac and cheese and fries and pork and whatever the hell you threw into that shit. I'm out.
Whatever the hell it was.
I'm out.
I like it. All right, Anna. I want to try it real quick. I'm just doing this real quick. I want to see if I can get
I will try. By the way, I'll try everything once. I don't care. They could have put, in fact, they should probably put anchovies on there. Because if you put anchovies on the mac and cheese with the fries and the pork, at least you would get more protein in there. And that would incentivize a guy like me who's very interested in macros to balance out more protein with the carbohydrates. I think they should put anchovies in that
All right,
shit.
I did get it on here for the screen, so Jason, you can take a look at it here. That is what it looks like here.
Looks awful.
Looks
it's absolutely awful.
Number 9, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, Polish Cannonballs. This right here, the PNC Park. This is fried balls full of egg noodles, kielbasa, cabbage, bacon, and cheddar cheese.
Okay, well, you just said fried balls, so I'm gonna make the assumption that is like what do we call it? The is that the testicles? The bull?
The bowl, yeah.
Like the Red Bull, where they make with the bull testicles or something like that. The Polish fried balls. No,
egg
I'm
noodles, whatever, kielbasa, whatever the heck that is, cabbage and bacon and cheddar cheese.
I would probably try it. I think it's a lot like the mac and cheese fries.
Okay.
I would try it once, but that's not going to be like a staple in my ballpark diet. No,
I thought that was
absolutely
interesting.
not. And I'm certainly not going to pay more than like $12 for it.
Amen
if
to
they
that.
charge like $15, no.
shot.
Nobody's touching
No
that
shot.
shit.
All right, we're gonna head over to Baltimore. We got the Warehouse Burger. Holy cow! Let's see here. This features 2 beef patties, queso, and fried onions, all in the same bite on a pretzel bun. Here's what she looks like. That looks like quite the burger.
Yeah, I mean, if you're giving me a pretzel bun with queso and fried onions, if you just take those 3 things, I'm going to try it no matter what.
You down with that?
I feel like the double patty is a little bit excessive.
Oh, okay.
And I think they need to go back down to a single patty because you get more of the flavors. Anytime you try to do something extravagant like that, you should always go with the single patty, because I liked what you said in the beginning, which was pretzel bun, queso, fried onions. So yeah, that goes to the top. Based on the first 3 things that you said, that's at the top of my list right now.
I would definitely be down for this. This burger right here, when
Yeah.
I saw that, I don't know about the pretzel bun, but everything else, I'm down.
Give me some better shit, and we'll see how it goes. But right now, they're at the top of my list.
Okay.
I like it.
Chicago White Sox, they may not have any pitchers. They have 7 pitchers on Tommy John, but they got the Celebration Cake Milkshake on this here. It's made with birthday cake ice cream, confetti cake, a pinwheel cookie, and the maraschino cherry. Looks pretty interesting in this packed, but what are they? I guess they're celebrating 125 years for the White Sox. I guess that would be your celebration. I mean, you want cake on top of your milkshake?
That's pretty sad, actually, because the first thing that you said is that it's the Chicago White Sox, which nobody cares about to begin with, and now it just feels like you're giving me a milkshake with a bunch of bullshit on top. Like, I can create that. I can create that in my own bathroom, in my own bathtub, in my own shower, whatever you want to throw out there. It looks pretty bad. And I feel sorry for them that they actually came up with that idea. It's pretty pathetic. No,
the worst.
I
on the
am
list
not.
So far.
Yeah, by far,
Yeah.
I hate it.
I agree.
And I hate the White Sox too. By the way,
Here's one that intrigued me here that I'd be willing to try: the Daddy Mac Dog for the Houston Astros. This here, Daddy Mac Dog also features brisket, mac and cheese, and fried pickles. And I know you love fried pickles. So this is a hot dog, and it's pretty massive. It's literally, I think, way bigger than a normal hot dog here. You can see it on the screen here. It's to me, it looks appetizing because of the mac and cheese, and the brisket. But I'd probably be willing to try it once.
yeah, I don't think I would try that. No, I think they're trying to do a little bit too much.
That's a lot.
I think at some point you need to stick with the basics, and I appreciate them for trying to get creative, but it's the fried pickles, the brisket, it's just too much for me.
And I think
I'm
it has
actually
barbecue sauce on top of it. So
yeah, I'm not gonna try that.
you're out.
I'm not.
Okay.
It's way too much. If I was gonna do that, I would actually do it if they would have done that on nachos
Ooh.
instead of the hot dog and added all of the same ingredients with the mac and cheese, the fried pickles, the brisket. I would have done it. But the fact that it's a hot dog, it's way too over the top. And I'm a
Takes you out of it.
In case you guys don't know, the JG is a very experimental guy. Historically, I like to experiment with a lot of different things. Not necessarily like sexually, but in terms of like other things. I'm not going to experiment with that. That's
Fair
bullshit.
enough. Fair enough. Here we got our Kansas City Royals here, and we got the blue velvet whoopie pies. This apparently is a classic treat here. Now I've never tried it, so It doesn't even tell me what's in it. It's literally a whoopie pie. So I assume cream inside of a cookie. Could have been better. Could have been more extravagant on this list. But it's number 5.
Real?
Yeah.
Is that like a real thing?
Yeah, that's real, man. For the Kansas City Royals.
No, I miss the good old days from 7 years ago where they would just bring in Sheridan's frozen custard. Like you could just keep it simple. And I honestly that I feel like it was 7 years ago.
About 7.
They used to have Sheridan's frozen custard, and you can just keep it simple, and people will buy the living shit out of that. Now I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my screen. There's a giant blue turd with whipped cream in the middle of it. 2 giant blue turds with whipped cream
just
surrounded by the 2 turds.
Keep this away from Mike because we know how many times that would come out. So
yeah, I'm not doing that. That's worse than the.
That's worse than the milkshake.
That is worse than the Polish fried balls.
Oh yeah.
The fried testicles. That's worse than
this
the
is
fried
number
testicles.
5 on the list.
Oh gosh,
that's the worst part about it all. Yeah, that's
awful.
It's a pass for me. We're gonna head up to the Yankees here. The helmet tiramisu on this here. This is made of espresso, mascarpone, cream, ladyfinger cookies, and cocoa powder, all in a nicely packed New York Yankees helmet.
Ooh,
Yankees tiramisu. The what's it called? Helmet tiramisu.
yeah. I will save the. I'll save the Yankees helmet. I don't want no part of that.
I don't want the tiramisu.
I'm actually a big fan of tiramisu.
You are? Oh, okay.
Huge.
This intrigues you a little bit.
Huge fan of espresso. Yeah, that's very intriguing. I'm throwing that up to number 2. That's the second
Holy
best thing
cow.
I've heard. Second best thing I've heard, other than the fact that it's the freaking Yankees.
Correct. Can't give them one. We have the s'mores quesadillas, the Philadelphia Phillies right here. Let's see here. The Phillies have found a loophole with the s'mores. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's basically a big s'more with a melted chocolate bar with a little powdered sugar on top of your quesadilla. Marshmallows inside, graham cracker crust or graham cracker stuff. Yay or nay?
I'm gonna go no on that. That it reminds me of the Daddy Mac dog with the brisket and the fried pickles. They're just trying to do too much. I want it to keep it simple. I do not want s'mores on my freaking quesadillas. If I want freaking s'mores, I'll go start a fire in my freaking backyard and build a bonfire and cook s'mores in my freaking backyard. I don't need it on top of a quesadilla.
It looks like
that's a joke.
Looks like it's the graham cracker crust is all crumbled up here. So I feel like I wouldn't do it.
I would try it. I'd
probably try it. But I wouldn't.
There's like a 75 to 80% chance it's going to taste like ass. But I will try that one. It's not as bad as the Royals blue velvet whoopie pies.
Just wait for this one here.
Because you guys know, by the way, what I would do with those blue
velvet
whoopie pies. Do I need to say it out loud?
You do not need
Thank
to say
you.
it. You do not need to say it.
But you know what I would do with that.
We got number 2 here on the list here. Seattle Mariners, the What Up Corn Dog. Just by the picture, it doesn't sound great. But let's see here. This corn dog is of a different color. It's honey battered and covered in a spicy, crunchy coating. So this is a spicy, crunchy coating. Looks like a green corn dog with a bunch of crap on it. What in the hell?
Why is it green? Because the Mariners are green?
Mariners. It's, yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You're doing it?
Because they kept it simple.
They did.
It's a
corn dog with a spicy, crunchy coating. So yeah.
And the corn dog with a batter with honey on it, that is very intriguing to me, to the point where, like, I'll give you an example. Like my favorite pizza of my lifetime is Pizzeria Uno. Yes. And the reason why it is because if you know what you're doing, you will order honey. They'll bring you honey to your table, and when you're done eating the pizza, you dip the crust in the honey. And nobody knows about this shit. And so when I hear the word honey battered corn dog, that actually gives it a chance. Like
Okay.
it could taste like shit, okay? But I'm going to give it a chance because anything that is honey battered, you have to at least try it. And I'm not even a corn dog guy. Like, I think corn dogs are just like, that's like a Patrick Mahomes, like 12-year-old or 6-year-old meal. Like, I'm not even a corn dog fan. But if it's honey battered, I'm at least going to give it a chance because it could be very intriguing.
Okay. Okay. So a chance. We got a chance here. Interesting. Your number one here comes from Toronto Blue Jays. It's the cotton candy fries. And this here is cotton candy fries combined, cover them in blue sauce. So, yeah, basically it's cotton candy and some kind of blue sauce. And on top of fries. That's how simple anything can be done right now. Next to the pie, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
I don't.
That's not even a real, to me, and I respect our Canadian friends. In fact, I don't respect them. I love our Canadian friends. I am not even giving that a shot. Not putting that.
I'm not either.
Not putting that bullshit into my body. I think it's complete trash, and I think that the Canadians, as my friends, they can do better than that. I think they're capable of much better ideas than that because that is a disaster of an idea.
Like it, and like the fact that it's only like a little small dab of cotton candy. Like you're not even like putting a good chunk in. Like it's cotton candy. It's not that hard to make. And like you can't put like cover the whole length of the freaking tub.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty disappointing. Pretty disappointing there. So, but yes, that's your number one on the list here on CBS. It's cotton candy fries.
So which ballpark do I need to travel to get the Warehouse Burger? Because that's where I'm going first.
That was Baltimore.
And I've been there before.
Yeah, the Warehouse Burger in Baltimore. So that's
okay.
That one right there. Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Baltimore, man. You guys had, to me, that's the best freaking idea I've heard of.
Unreal. Wow. Hey. Now we know. Now we know here. But hey, that's your top 10 there on CBS Sports. Kind of a fun one to go through to finish it out, get ready for opening day once again. So interesting take. Interesting top 10. I wouldn't say it says, I don't know if you ever saw the Rolling Stones top 100 R&B songs since 2000. Bobby G on the Audible podcast and Wildcard Mara went through it. Now that's a disappointing list. That number one there in the food one was very disappointing. So there's some definitely the Royals one at 5. I don't like it. So, but JG, you got anything else here, man? Before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I'm ready for the NBA playoffs, man. That's all I care about at this point. Because I want to see Final Four, and then I want to see the NBA championship, and that's all I care about right now.
There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting out of here. We'll be back here in a couple weeks here. Mike will be joining us. He should be back, hopefully. We're
going to have to scrape him off the side of the road at some point.
At some point, man. I don't know what we got to do with him. But we'll get it figured out here. We'll be talking a little bit NFL. Draft is 1 month here. 1 month away. So we'll be making sure we get some breakdown here next couple of shows for you and get that going, get that ready. We'll get a Royals update, of course, touch base with Mike at his predictions. And as we get ready to ramp up for NBA playoffs on top of it. So stay tuned. Tune back in a couple weeks here and we'll get it rolling. So, all right, guys.
Sports Buffoons outro.
We'll see you later.